Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just waiting for the smoke to clear a little so I can see you all better. Uh, Definitely is a tough one to talk after Sunil. And today has also been a day of firsts for me. Of course, the Vistara flight was the same flight in which I traveled and waited for 3.5 hours. That was a first in many years. But more importantly, it's also a first because today is the day where I've come closest to Bollywood. I got to spend some time with Sunil Shetty in the lounge and shake his hands. So that's also a first for me. So thank you. It's wonderful to be speaking here today. And let me start by applauding the Global Thai Summit and its organizers for this flagship platform, engaging some of the world's best leaders and entrepreneurs in a meaningful dialogue. In less than a month, we will be entering our new year. The ongoing situation on inflation, the ongoing situation on geopolitics, and all the disturbances are not really time driven. So they are not going to go away based on a calendar year, especially the commodity and the retail inflation. But more importantly, the climate urgency, which is now front and center. Amidst all of this, if you assess the situation in India, our GDP is growing and has grown at 8.7% year on year. Again, the highest in the world. You would have seen it in some of your businesses. Our FDI has risen 20 times over the last 20 years. The situation with China having its supremacy is now China +1, which is also a vantage point for us. But more importantly, in India, the unicorn and the startup ecosystem has attained worldwide vibrancy. And I'll talk a little as we go along. As per the OECD, major Asian economies will account for close to 3/4 of the global GDP. But none of these facts are new to us. What is new to us is the overall threat of recession. And KPMG had recently conducted a CEO Outlook survey wherein 66% of CEOs in India, and that as compared to 86% globally, the CEOs believe there will be a recession. They also believe that the recession will be mild and short. Now that is also new in some ways. But the element of recession is not standalone. If you try to book flight tickets today, the prices have doubled. If you try to buy a luxury car, you have to wait for 6 months to 8 months. If you see the demand element today, especially in our industry, if you see it in the rural as well as the urban sectors, it's running contrary to where normal talk of inflation would go. So that's the juncture at which we are. So people, while on one hand globally talk of inflation, a little bit of a meltdown, all other indices are working in a different direction. And this speaks very, very positively for the country's stability, the impact of consistent policies, and action spanning the realms of infrastructure, investment, and the startup ecosystem. India today houses the world's third largest startup ecosystem. The Indian government has recognized more than 75,000 startups and over 85 unicorns, creating more than 7 lakh jobs. And that's phenomenal. That's a big, big achievement, which India has really achieved on the back of favorable policies. At KPMG in India, we do significant work with startups across sectors and I've been working in this space for more than a decade. We work across the ecosystem, from regulators, funds, marketplaces to startups themselves, including critical support businesses like logistics, analytics, packaging companies, which feed into internet and startup ecosystem. We have a global flagship program called the Emerging Giants. I'm not sure whether you've heard of it or not. And that focuses on transforming new ideas at different stages which are currently active in different countries across the world. I've broken India's path and future into 3 themes. And let me talk about the 3 themes, which eventually will help us achieve our 5 trillion target. First is going deeper with India's green transition. You would have seen the net zero carbon emitter promise that India has made of 2070. And coincidentally, KPMG India has made it for 2030 as such. And its proactive role in tackling climate energy, which was recently exemplified in the COP meetings in Egypt, as well as the G20 in Bali. And as the world's 3rd largest ecosystem, startup ecosystem, India can play a very pivotal role in shaping this climate agenda, especially as it shapes the agenda in its presidency of critical reforms. And I recently heard that we are also holding the presidency of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is also an equally prestigious forum as such. Climate action across the industry spectrum opens doors to multi-trillion-dollar opportunities across the spectrum for large industries as well as startups. Recognizing this role of innovation and decarbonization, KPMG also has an Enrich program, and on the back of that, we had some kind of a startup award recently. Minister Puri was there, and amongst the many cutting-edge solutions presented, grassroots energy cooperation, a startup working at the cross-section of energy and agriculture, stood out for its innovative double carbon approach that works on principles of circularity. And that's the one that won the award this year. We are also committed to our net zero, as I explained, by 2030. The second theme that I want to talk about is the recent launch of 5G. The government announced its policies. In fact, there we have a very, very enterprising minister who would like to roll out a new telecom bill. That's work in progress. We are helping in many ways across the industry. But based on a study that we've done, the 5G rollout next year, if we get it right, and there's a lot of hard work going in there, it has the potential of contributing 0.5% to the GDP annually. So just think about it. We're already at 8.7. We succeed with 5G, and it will add another 0.5%, taking us to 9.2. Most businesses, and today almost every large business is almost a technology company or a technology-reliant company. And most businesses today are considering the rollout of 5G, the process of digital transformation because of its service-based cloud-native design and enhanced capabilities, including adoption of technologies like artificial intelligence, IoT, robotics, amongst others. And with the explosion of data and 5G, we see an immense potential in Industry 4.0 running with these technologies. Parallelly, you will see development in aspects like healthcare, real-time patient monitoring, logistics, all of it. So all of those will start getting buoyant within our Indian industry and the Indian economy. For instance, in the case of digital transformation, the needs of manufacturing sector, there is a 43 billion plus addressable market for the top 10 industry 4 use cases, and 5G starts playing a role in that. Like 2021, this year has also seen policy and structural reforms in India, such as the launch of the Telecom Technology Development Fund and Telecom Startup MSME Mission. And this is a signal of the government's intention to create a thriving telecom sector. I'm going to talk about my third theme, which is India Stack 3.0 and the central bank digital currency, which was recently announced. If you reflect back, until 2016, no one could have imagined that you could actually buy a cup of chai for 10 rupees through your bank. And that is the state of where we are in the ecosystem today. In fact, India's finance stack, powered by innovations like UPI, Aadhaar, eKYC, is one of the greatest inventions in this internet era. And that brings me to the CBDC, the central bank digital currency. India is among the first few countries to announce this, and the scale at which it will operate is expected to be unparalleled. Again, the CBDC will position India where it leverages the financial stack with new age innovations and Web 3.0. You will see global liquidity taking a turn, cheaper rates coming in, and cross-border transactions on the back of this rollout. CBDC will also eliminate interbank settlements, further boosting financial inclusion and efficiency. And as of today, there exists a 250 billion financing gap for MSME in India. And this is the market where new unicorns and startups will tap into through lending stacks, which can be developed at the top of the digital currency. And of course, watertight cyber security will start playing an absolute must. Now, the reason I bring out these three themes is because in each one of them, there is an element of innovation. In each one of them, there is an element of the benefit that India offers, and not only offers, but also directs into success. Let me conclude that India's geopolitical influence, the status, and leadership over the next decade, which is linked to the policies and the regulatory framework that it implements today, especially in crucial areas of sustainability, digital assets, and Web 3.0 industry. As a nation, as a business, we have a unique opportunity. We are at the right time, at the right place, and this is the pathway to a much needed green and digital future. I thank you for your time. Thank you once again.